talk about what we're doing.
I just get to invade the
Part of the course here in this line.
Okay, there's, starting Frenching the wings. Do you have to do it right now? No. Is it easiest right now? Yes. I'm using the entire weight of the chicken to keep all the skin tight as I spin it around. Plus you get to flop the chicken around. That's just fun, okay? So, cut through all that stuff. Right. See the wing bends this way? Don't twist it to the left or right of that. Straight back. And it will work. So, and ideally everything comes off. You saw a little bit of that cartilage start to stay on there. That's going to happen periodically. Just take that, and see how much flesh is on there, and that's going to be easier to fix at the end probably. So we'll trim that up. No problem. Don't worry about it if that doesn't work. 9% of the time it'll work. Every once in a while it won't. So again, cut down through here, and don't cut completely in the wing joint. We're cutting about halfway down, right? So make sure you do that. Check and make sure that it's clean. Again, bend it straight back. And of course it's not working because I'm trying to do a demo. Isn't that great? So this chicken doesn't like me. Anyway, so when I pulled it off, instead of continuing to yank because it didn't work, I'm going to stop. I'm going to loosen this cartilage up so I can go ahead and still get it off in one piece. Okay? When you see it's not working, stop for a second. Right? And I take these off. And again, we use these mostly for stock here, but if you are going to use these, for something else, staff mill, whatever, all you have to do is cut through that. Not a big deal, right? Lay those down in there. At this point, you go ahead and take the legs off, put them out, or take the wishbone out. Either way, and it works out. But to get the wishbone, first you want to actually feel where the wishbone is. It's right in here. It's just like your collarbone, essentially. All right, so it comes down through here. There it ends, turns into a V right here. Feeling this one, I can already tell it's broken on this side. So I'm going to feel through there, feel this side. And just cut. Notice I only used about that much of my knife. That's how far you want to cut, not any further than that.
Are you cutting below it or above the bone?
Just below it. Good question. Thank you. Right. And then I can work my fingers up and down the entire thing. I can do it on the other side. You don't want to gouge deeply in there. That's just going to mess up the meat later. So once you free, this was already broken. Once I freed it from the top all the way down, just bend it down, that little piece pops out. Now there's a tab essentially at the top of the, you want to make sure you get out. Looks like that, right? So those should be connected like that, but again, that one was already broken. So ideally you've done that without cutting too deeply into the flesh right there. There's just a little nick, not too much. All right, taking the legs off. As you pull this apart, you see the different coloration here. You can tell there's just directly flesh underneath there. And we'll see if we can get the skin tight. You see this line right there of fat that you can see is underneath the skin? Mm-hmm. Right. You want to cut just on the outside of that line of fat. Make sure you cut through all that. Again, notice that there's a muscle group here, muscle group here. I did not cut anything besides the skin. Nothing else at all. Follow down through there. And again, you can see where there's a lot of fat and there's not a lot of fat. That's the change in the coloration you're seeing here. This is the oyster meat. So again, this flesh comes around here, but this piece can be connected onto it. And on one side of the chicken, depending on whether you're left or right-handed, you're going to cut this way, and the other one will cut the other way. You'll see that in a second. So pop a lot of that out. You can feel this joint right here with your thumb on the back of that. Just twist it. And then slice through the rest of it, right? And you just want to follow the bones as you go down through there.
I saw last night with the hot fixing that they, after they cut the fat line, they scooped out the oyster with their fingers.
Right.
kind of separate from the joint. Is that
Right.
recommended?
No, because you'll never do that in real life. Yeah, there's Hot Food Team has a lot of things that are great and really develop some skills in there, and some of the things you would just do solely for competition. That's solely for competition.
Okay.
But again, slicing, found that line of fat, following it down through here. Now on this leg, when it came out, I've come down like this, right? Since the chicken's now flipped on the other side, my knife is the exact opposite. So you're gonna have, your knife is gonna be pointing out one side, pointing in on the other, okay? Now slice them off. And look at how much, you're always gonna have a little bit of oyster meat left in there. Not much, but a little bit. So how much is that, okay? And you can tell how well you did by how thin this piece of skin is right here. Right, so we got those off, set those aside for the next piece. Again, feeling through here, you can almost see the keel bone right here. There's a little piece of fat right on top of it. Be following that line down here. So, nice gentle slice all the way down. You're gonna hit the keel bone and go on one side of it. Does not matter at all which side you go on first. Don't normally work like this, but I'm trying to let everyone see.
The mirror is much better to look into.
Yeah.
All right,
That's what
and
I'm
that's it.
saying,
I sliced, and I went down the keel bone until I hit the rib cage. Then I twisted and sliced down along there. Okay. You have a joint up here. All I did was, as I got close to it, disjointed it, cut through the flesh. Didn't cut through any bone, any cartilage here at all. Right. Now this other side, the reason you take this wishbone out is it's connected like that. So there, if your knife had followed that around, you see how much flesh you would be missing would be left on the carcass. That's why you take that out first. And there is a debate out there as to how much if you're not doing it quickly with taking the wishbone out, are you actually losing labor hours as opposed to saving money on your product here? So you have to be able to judge that for yourself, but ideally you should be able to do it pretty quickly. All right, now this one, since I came down here, this again is a little bit different. That's kind of awkward, right? So I flipped the chicken up so I'm working with my hands correctly. Everyone see that? Instead of cutting like this. Anyone want to cut like this on a regular basis? No. Good. All right. So since that's awkward, I turn the chicken up and bend it up and work through there. Okay? This side, I'm naturally in a good position here, so I can slice straight down. Again, when I hit this joint, since I'm pulling a little tension right there, I can easily cut through it. So it's the same thing as the legs. One side I'm cutting in, the other side I'm cutting out. One side you're cutting this way, and the other, one side you're picking it up, so you have that tension, the other side coming out like that. Make sense? Right. So if you're right-handed, it'll be exactly opposite. Okay, so we've got this stuff off. Cleaning up the carcass, getting ready for stock. I know at least one person in here has, as we've tasted stuff, has mentioned that the stock that they use in their sauce actually tasted very greasy. And you need a refined palate to really pick that up. But that's something that you don't want, and that is a flavor that can happen in there. So, in an ideal world, you're taking as much of the skin and fat off of your chicken, so you're not going to have that grease in your stock. All right? So, take all that stuff off. It's trash. We'll put it in the corner so we can look at it when we get in there. Do you have to sit here and take a pair of tweezers or a spoon or something and pick out every little piece? No, but take off most of it. The quick little cut like that. Cut the tail off. Where'd the tail go? There it is. Yes. For some reason it's called the Pope's nose. So cut it off, right? I'm assuming it's an English term coming back from the Protestant Reformation, but no. Cut down to here and just crack one time. Cut through the rest of the flesh. Okay? That's breaking your chicken down enough to where you're going to extract more flavor, more collagen that will turn into gelatin first and get that out of the way. Okay, so the smaller your chicken is, the better stock you're going to have. The more you're going to get out of your stock as you're cooking it. All right. Okay. The rest, even though we had a little trouble with the wing bone on there, we still came out and it still looks good. Never hurts. You know, if it doesn't look that great, you can trim the end of it off. All right, just take this and lay it out flat, okay? Where's the meat under here? Where is excess skin just hanging off? Again, the excess skin is not going to do anything on this. You know, there's, so you want to lay it out and make sure it looks good like that. Flip it over. Are there extra chunks? Is there any part of the keel bone stuck on there? You want to get that off. Sometimes there's a little silver skin down here. Make sure you get that off. Look for any fat that's just sticking out like that. And trim that off. All right. So what we're looking for is good coverage all the way around.
And you already got the little cartilage like around the bone when you pulled the.
Yeah, exactly.
The
It came
first
off.
time.
Even though I noticed it was going wrong, I stopped and fixed it then as opposed to just yanking it off, leaving that cartilage, which is just more work to try and take back over and take off in a second.
And you cut in the hearts like in the dipped side or the other side? I can't remember.
The way the
Like
wing
the way the
bones-
bone.
Yeah, it would bend in this way,
Right.
so I cut in there. It's kind of like that.
But like when you cut on this side where it looks like where they go like this, or on the opposite side. You know what I'm talking about? When you cut the cartilage, is it on here or on the opposite side?
When I cut the cartilage?
Never mind. Oh,
Okay. No, there's, you mean when I messed up and I pulled it off?
well, like I've had it to where it's still on there. The white stuff is still around there, and you make a little slice in that.
Right. That would be
From-
on this one,
on
would be
that
on the
side.
outside.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. All right, so again, I'm laying this out. I can see a little extra fat under there. There's a whole line. I don't know if you can see that. You see all this fat right here? It's not, this fat is not in between muscle groups. It's just hanging out and sitting there. It's not going to do anything when you're cooking it except render out, and especially if you're going to make a pan sauce, which you will be on the final. You know, it's just going to make that a little bit greasy. Turn it over. This little chunk of fat right here. A little fat under their skin. Same little piece right here. This one's kind of hard to get out, but again, it's not actually going to do anything when you're cooking it. Looking through here, there's a little bit. Sometimes there's a little discoloration there. That's from that wishbone was probably broken while the chicken was still alive when they were cutting its throat. Oh, yes,
chicken.
exactly. So, not good, but again, it's going to happen once in a while. So, that up, our stuff out of the way. All right.
So on the final, are you gonna want us to remove the skin off the carcass?
Yes. Yep. I want the carcass to look like that.